Welcome to the Art of Thinking Backwards. How to solve problems like a genius, written and published by Mindful Literary. We're taught to move forward, to push ahead. But what if that's the problem? This book is not just another guide to success. It's a mental flip, a quiet rebellion against lazy thinking. The Art of Thinking Backwards was written and published by Mindful Literary to hand you a tool that few even know exists: inversion. From billionaires to philosophers, from engineers to strategists, the smartest people in the world don't just ask what works. They ask, what breaks it? What ruins it? What's the worst-case scenario? And how do I avoid it first? This isn't about being clever. It's about being clear. And once you see the world through this lens, you can't unsee it. Let's begin. Introduction: the genius behind inversion. Why everything you've learned about problem-solving might be backwards. Conventional wisdom has a way of shaping our understanding of problem-solving skills. We often believe that a structured step-by-step approach is the key to unlocking solutions. However, this framework can unknowingly box us in, creating rigid boundaries that hinder our creativity and limit our outcomes. Instead of following the established path, we might ask ourselves what happens if we challenge these norms. What if we were to dismantle the way we think about problems and reassemble our approach in a more fluid, dynamic manner? When we reconsider the foundations of our problem-solving skills, we might discover that flexibility, intuition, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty can lead to far more innovative solutions than sticking to tried-and-true methods. The essence of this reflective journey isn't just about finding the right answer, but about redefining the landscape on which you build your solutions. Every problem is unique, and so too should be your approach to it. Now let's pivot to the common methods of problem-solving that we often rely upon. Many of these techniques might seem logical, yet they can inadvertently lead to limiting outcomes. Take, for instance, the reliance on quantifiable data as the primary tool for decision-making. While data is indeed valuable, treating it as the sole compass can steer us away from insights that lie beyond the numbers. Emotions, anecdotal experiences, and creative thinking are often disregarded when we prioritize purely analytical approaches. This fixation on figures can lead to a narrow view where viable options are overlooked. What if we dared to veer from the safe path? What if we translated our insufficient grasp of problems into breakthroughs instead of barriers? Breaking free from conventional methodologies allows for a broader field of vision, enabling us to see connections others might miss and recognize potential solutions hidden in plain sight. As you reflect on these ideas, consider incorporating divergent thinking into your problem-solving toolkit. This approach invites you to explore many possibilities rather than quickly narrowing down to one solution. By asking questions that provoke thought and challenge existing assumptions, you not only enrich your own perspective, but also open the door for collaboration and innovation. Remember, the goal is not merely to react to problems with predictable solutions, but to actively engage with them as intriguing puzzles waiting to be unraveled. Use this shift in thinking to empower yourself. Transform the way you perceive challenges and watch as new, creative avenues emerge, leading to more robust solutions that may have once seemed out of reach. Embracing this mindset may feel counterintuitive at first, but soon it will become a valuable asset, equipping you with the mental agility to tackle even the most daunting of problems. Real-world examples: how billionaires, inventors, and philosophers think in reverse. Successful figures often have a unique way of thinking, one that is more like playing chess than checkers. They practice a concept known as inversion, which involves flipping problems on their heads to uncover unconventional solutions. For instance, billionaire investor Warren Buffett famously advises focusing on what not to do. Instead of only seeking opportunities, he urges aspiring investors to concretely identify businesses and strategies to avoid. This counterintuitive approach allows for clearer decision-making and fosters a mindset of calculated risk-taking. By examining situations from this reverse angle, one can spot pitfalls before they become traps. Historical icons like Albert Einstein and Socrates also embraced reverse logic in their pursuits. Einstein, famed for his theories of relativity, often asked questions that broke from traditional scientific thought, like what if time could bend? His ability to reconceptualize the physical laws that govern the universe led to breakthroughs that transformed modern physics. Socrates, known for his dialectical method, challenged conventional wisdom by questioning widely accepted beliefs. This encouraged deeper contemplation and introspection among his followers. By flipping assumptions upside down, these thinkers prompted others to entertain radical ideas and envision novel futures. Becoming a reverse thinker yourself isn't about rigid formulas or methods. It requires an open mind and a willingness to question the status quo. Try framing problems in an unconventional manner. Instead of asking, "How can I achieve this goal?" ask yourself, "What are all the ways I could fail at this?" This strategy not only helps you identify potential barriers, but also encourages creative thinking that may lead to unexpected paths toward success. The next time you encounter a challenge, remember, sometimes the best way to move forward is to take a step back and look at everything from a different angle. The myth of linear thinking and why it traps most people in mediocrity. Linear thinking operates under the assumption that problems and solutions can be traced in a straight line. A leads to B, which leads to C. This tidy progression feels safe and comforting, almost like following a recipe. The trouble is life, with all its chaos and unpredictability, doesn't always adhere to such neat pathways. When we cling to this linearity, we risk limiting ourselves to a narrow set of options. It's the reason many feel stuck in jobs that drain their energy or pursue goals that merely mirror societal expectations. You might have heard the saying, "Think outside the box." But what if the box itself is a crutch that inhibits true creativity? Embracing the complexities and ambiguities of life allows for a richer array of choices hidden in the chaos. Instead of assuming that taking a simple, straightforward path is the best way to navigate challenges, consider that the messy, nonlinear pathways might lead to unforeseen opportunities. This is not just abstract philosophy. It's a real, practical concern that impacts our daily lives and the grand arcs of our careers and relationships. When you start breaking away from linear thinking, a remarkable thing happens. Your mind begins to develop new neural pathways, much like a lush forest diverging into multiple tracks. By diversifying your thought processes, you are giving yourself permission to explore creative solutions that didn't fit into the neat lines of conventional thinking. Imagine solving a problem not just by weighing options A, B, or C, but by considering alternatives that combine those options in unexpected ways or introduce entirely new variables into the equation. This expansive thinking can lead to innovative ideas that spark transformation, not just for you, but for those around you. Embracing this diversity doesn't require a major life overhaul. It can begin by asking what if questions frequently. What if I approached this problem from an entirely different angle? What if I involved a person completely outside my field? Such inquiries can feel mildly subversive, particularly if you've lived in linear conformity for so long. However, the potential rewards are exponential, leading to more fulfilling outcomes and experiences that genuinely resonate with who you are. To put it practically, next time you face a decision, whether it's about your career path, a personal project, or even a simple daily choice, try mapping out a few nonlinear pathways. Let your imagination roam without boundaries. Challenge yourself to mix ideas from different domains. This playful, exploratory approach not only makes problem-solving more engaging, but also moves you towards solutions that truly resonate with your values and aspirations, igniting a fire of possibility you might not have realized is there. How this book will rewire your mental approach. Embarking on a transformative journey requires more than just a desire for change. It demands an open mind ready to embrace the unknown. Throughout this book, you'll acquire practical strategies and insights designed to challenge the status quo of your current thinking patterns. Imagine stepping into a brand new realm where you unlock creative solutions and approach problems from unconventional angles. This isn't merely about acquiring new knowledge. It's about reprogramming how your brain naturally reacts to challenges. Think of it as upgrading your mental operating system to one that is not only faster but also smarter, enabling you to see opportunities where once you saw obstacles. As you delve deeper, set your expectations high because the goal is nothing short of a paradigm shift in your problem-solving capabilities. Prepare for a reality check that laughs in the face of your old assumptions and shows you the power of questioning the unchallengeable. This journey will not only reshape how you think, but will also rewire your emotional responses. You'll learn to view problems as intriguing puzzles rather than dire emergencies. With this new perspective, you'll find that resilience isn't about just enduring challenges. It's about mastering them with a kind of wit and flair that surprises even you. Get ready to flex your mental muscles, because what lies ahead is not just empowerment, it's liberation. Keep in mind, the real magic happens when you start applying these insights in your daily life. Grab every mental tool and technique that resonates with you and weave them into your routine. Start small. Maybe you tackle a pesky decision differently today or challenge a belief you've held for years. Embracing this process is about curiosity and experimentation, so be prepared to stumble, learn, and laugh along the way. This is your moment to shift gears, turn the mental dial up, and discover the superpowers hidden within you. Chapter 1. Inversion, the thinking tool no one taught you. What is inversion, and why is it so powerful? Inversion is a thinking tool that flips conventional reasoning on its head. Instead of asking, "What do I need to achieve my goals?" Inversion prompts you to consider, "What could derail my efforts?" This simple shift in perspective has roots that trace back to classical philosophy, where thinkers like Socrates urged us to examine our beliefs through a dialectic process. Modern psychology echoes this sentiment, emphasizing that understanding what we want to avoid can be as enlightening as identifying what we aspire to. It enables clarity by helping us confront hidden assumptions and biases that often go unexamined. This is where inversion becomes transformative. It invites us to consider what we typically overlook, revealing insights that might otherwise remain cloaked in the fog of our habitual thoughts. The advantages of inversion are striking. Traditional methods of reasoning often lead us down predictable paths, reinforcing our existing beliefs and keeping us inside well-worn mental ruts. In contrast, inversion acts as a rebel, allowing us to sidestep these traps. By focusing on what we don't want, we can uncover unexpected solutions and innovative strategies that a conventional approach might miss. It's like wearing glasses that filter out assumptions and highlight new possibilities, enhancing our problem-solving skills. This counterintuitive method sharpens our decision-making abilities, pushes us to think critically, and arms us with a proactive mindset. When used regularly, inversion becomes a superpower that not only enriches personal growth, but also enhances our influence in discussions, negotiations, and critical thinking exercises. One practical tip for implementing inversion in your daily life is to regularly ask yourself what the worst possible outcome of a decision could be. Embrace these uncomfortable thoughts as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. By doing so, you'll find it easier to navigate challenges and make more informed choices. The beauty of inversion lies in its ability to transform fear into clarity and uncertainty into resolute action. This practice might seem unsettling at first, but as you embrace this mindset, you'll likely discover a reservoir of strength and creativity you never knew you had. The difference between forward logic and reverse logic. Forward logic is that familiar path we walk down when we think through problems step by step. It's linear, methodical, and self-assured. Think of it like following a recipe for a delicious cake. You gather your ingredients, mix them in precise order, and pop the cake in the oven, expecting sweetness as a reward. The inherent advantage of forward logic lies in its clarity. When you know where you want to go, it provides a direct pathway to that destination. You can strategize, plan, and predict outcomes with confidence. But there's a delightful twist to this tale. Reverse logic, on the other hand, flips the script entirely. Instead of starting with a defined problem and working toward a solution, reverse logic begins with the desired end goal and works backward. Imagine you're throwing a surprise party for a friend. Rather than planning the party from start to finish, you might first envision the ecstatic moment of surprise on your friend's face. From there, you reverse engineer everything that needs to happen, inviting friends, preparing food, picking the perfect venue, drawing unexpected pathways to that happy endgame. The advantage of reverse logic is its ability to liberate your thinking. You start with a flash of inspiration, and every step from there is a creative exploration rather than a rigid pathway. Real-life applications of reverse logic are sprinkled throughout our world, often in ways we scarcely notice. Think about inventors and entrepreneurs who envision revolutionary products or services before figuring out how to create them. The tech industry is a treasure trove of reverse logic in action. For instance, consider how Steve Jobs approached the design of the iPhone. Instead of starting with technical specifications, he imagined how people would feel using it and what they would want from a mobile experience. This imaginative benchmark underpinned every development decision, leading to perhaps one of the most iconic products of our time. Education also offers tantalizing examples. Project-based learning exemplifies reverse logic, where students envision their desired knowledge or project outcome first, then work backward to acquire the necessary skills and information. This not only makes learning more engaging, but creates a deeper, more personal connection to the material. Turning your thinking upside down can be a marvelous tool. When faced with a challenge, try defining your ultimate objective first. Don't be afraid to consider what sounds absurdly unattainable. The beauty of reverse logic is that it frees you from traditional constraints, allowing you to imagine without boundaries. With this mindset, you can transform obstacles into opportunities. Remember, creativity often blossoms where the ordinary ceases to exist. Charlie Munger's advice: all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there. Munger's perspective is brilliantly counterintuitive. He challenges us to think about our failures before they happen, inviting a sort of preemptive wisdom that feels almost rebellious. When he says he wants to know where he will die, he's not speaking literally. Instead, he's urging us to identify the pitfalls, the dead ends, and the unwise choices ahead of time. By examining our own reasoning processes and recognizing the dangers that lie in wait, we equip ourselves with the knowledge to navigate life more effectively. Think of it as mental armor against the inevitable mistakes we all make. Rather than viewing failure as something to be avoided, Munger's wisdom encourages us to confront it head-on, understanding that it's often the best teacher. When you anticipate where you might stumble, you're already several steps ahead. You'll be ready to pivot, adjust, and sidestep those traps, empowering yourself to stay on a clear, strategic path toward your goals. Applying this mentality to your own decision-making can feel like flipping on a light switch. Start by recognizing the situations where you often make hasty decisions, perhaps driven by emotions or societal pressures. This could be in your career, relationships, or financial matters. Begin to ask yourself probing questions. What are the potential pitfalls here? Where is this decision likely to lead me in the future? It's a mental exercise that transforms decision-making from a reactive process into a proactive one. Develop a habit of considering the worst-case scenario and embracing it as a framework for your choices. It might sound grim, but the laughter that might follow this thought process is delightful. You'll find that many of your fears are exaggerated and that addressing them directly reduces their hold over you. Essentially, you're not just looking for the potholes on your journey. You're also becoming a mapmaker, charting a course that keeps you away from those pitfalls. Each decision becomes a calculated risk rather than a blind leap. Before you leap, ask, what's the worst that could happen? And am I okay with that? If the answer is yes, you're free to go ahead without fear. But if it isn't, you have a valuable opportunity to reassess. Embrace this practice as a sort of superpower, and every decision will transform from a leap of faith into a well-considered step forward. Remember, in the game of life, it's not about avoiding failure but understanding it so you can keep moving in the right direction. Exercise. Invert a common life goal, e.g. happiness, success, productivity. Engaging in a practical exercise that challenges our understanding of common life goals is an exhilarating thought experiment. Have you ever paused to consider the weight we place on happiness, success, or productivity? What if, instead of chasing these ideals head-on, we turn them on their head? Imagine actively trying to cultivate unhappiness or failure. The very idea can provoke laughter, but at its core lies a powerful insight. By inverting what we typically aspire to, we can unearth the absurdity of our cherished beliefs. Think about it. What does chasing constant happiness make us do? We might neglect the storm of emotions that shape our human experience, believing that happiness is the only acceptable state. In contrast, by embracing the idea of unhappiness, we give ourselves permission to feel the full spectrum of our emotions and ultimately gain a more authentic connection to our lives. Reflecting on new insights gained through this inverted thinking opens doors to self-discovery. What did you learn about yourself when you considered how you might pursue failure instead of success? Chasing failure could mean acknowledging flaws or weaknesses that you normally mask with a veneer of perfection. In this ironic twist, we uncover the deeply rooted beliefs that drive our behaviors. This thought process doesn't merely challenge assumptions. It empowers us to redefine what success truly means. Perhaps it's not about the accolades or the marriage of superficial achievements to a traditional vision of success. Instead, it can be about personal growth, embracing setbacks as essential learning experiences, and redefining productivity as a measure of fulfillment rather than output. Imagine releasing the relentless pressure to be joyous or successful, allowing space for exploration and genuine personal evolution. Utilizing this inverted framework as a mental tool can transform how we engage with our everyday lives. Experiment with it in your daily routines. When tempted to prioritize happiness, ask yourself, what would it look like if I deliberately pursued an unhappy outcome? This playful approach not only keeps the mind sharp, but also allows you to sift through the layers of societal expectations versus personal truths. Ultimately, reframing your goals through inversion leads to deeper acceptance, resilience, and a liberated sense of self, so dare to embrace it. Chapter 2: The Default Trap: Why Forward Thinking Fails. How our brains are hardwired for forward momentum, even when it's wrong. Our brains are finely tuned machines built for one main purpose: forward momentum. They churn out thoughts and impulses that push us to plan, execute, and anticipate what's next. Neurologically, pathways in the brain, like the default mode network, become activated when we daydream about future scenarios or replay past events in a reimagined light. This finely honed system is remarkable, but carries its own pitfalls. It often leads us to prioritize speed over accuracy, nudging us toward decisions made in a heat of excitement or anxiety rather than careful reflection. The brain rewards action. It doesn't particularly care if that action is wise. Our neurotransmitters spill dopamine when we think of possibilities, propelling us to pursue options that may not serve our best interest, but rather feel exhilarating in the moment, framing a euphoric chase that can blur the line between beneficial and detrimental decisions. This instinctual drive for forward motion can lead us into murky waters. Consider the startup entrepreneur, brimming with enthusiasm and optimism, charges ahead with a half-baked idea, convinced of its brilliance. The brain's momentum leads them to build, invest, and present without thorough research. What appears as an unstoppable force can rapidly become an inevitable train wreck. Similarly, think of the individual who jumps into a romantic relationship, blinded by chemistry, yet oblivious to foundational misalignments, jeopardizing their emotional well-being. Scenarios like these are more common than you might imagine. They stem from our brain's hardwired preference for action, often yielding regret when hindsight shines a light on missed red flags. It's not just about leaping, it's about knowing when to pull back and assess the leap versus the void below. Case study: Kodak and the death of a giant because they couldn't think backwards. Kodak presents a fascinating, albeit tragic, narrative of a company that once dominated the photography market but ultimately crumbled under the weight of its own nostalgia. Founded in the late 19th century, Kodak was synonymous with photography for generations. The iconic yellow box of film was more than a product, it was a symbol of memories captured and shared. Yet, despite this rich legacy, Kodak failed to evolve in a rapidly changing digital landscape. The rise of digital photography was not a secret. Kodak itself invented the first digital camera in 1975, a groundbreaking technology that hinted at the future of the industry. However, instead of embracing this innovation, Kodak opted to protect its existing film business, fearing that digital cameras would cannibalize its profits. This decision reflects a fundamental miscalculation, an unwillingness to see beyond current success and adapt. While the company was pausing for a moment of reflection, the world was racing ahead, leaving them behind. The downfall of Kodak serves as a cautionary tale illustrating that greatness can blind one to necessary change. A heritage rooted in physical film made their leaders underestimate the transformative potential of technology, leading to a catastrophic failure. This case study stands as a powerful reminder of the importance of adapting to change. It challenges the notion that past successes guarantee future relevance. Companies often cling to what has worked for them, forgetting that the world is full of unpredictable variables ready to rewrite the rules of engagement. The lesson is clear: adaptability is crucial. Embracing forward-thinking alternatives means being open to new ideas, even if they threaten established practices. It requires leaders to engage in curiosity rather than complacency, to challenge the status quo, and to be willing to pivot when necessary. Companies must foster a culture where innovation thrives and where learning from past mistakes is integral to growth. This goes beyond a single board meeting or a quarterly report. It is about building an environment that encourages experimentation and embraces failure as part of the journey to success. Taking a page from Kodak's missteps emphasizes that the willingness to embrace the new can lead to transformation, whereas refusal to change can lead to extinction. This journey through Kodak's rise and fall equips us with an invaluable tool: the mindset for transformation. Recognizing the limits of our comfort zones and understanding the significance of foresight is crucial for staying relevant. In both business and personal strategies, one must consider not just where we are today, but also where trends and technologies are headed. Engaging with diverse perspectives and staying curious about the future can fortify our resilience. Remember to always question the status quo, delight in learning new things, and don't be afraid to disrupt your own patterns. The ability to think ahead, and at times even backwards, can turn your insight into your greatest advantage. In a world that never stops evolving, the only constant we can rely on is the necessity of evolution itself. The role of ego in flawed planning. Personal ego often acts like a pair of tinted glasses, distorting our view of reality and clouding our judgment. When we let our ego take the wheel, we risk overlooking critical details or alternative perspectives. For instance, the belief that we know best can lead to dismissing ideas from others, even when those ideas might solve the problem at hand. Think about that confident friend who insists on planning every detail of a vacation and ends up in a place no one enjoys because they couldn't let others weigh in. This kind of ego-driven decision-making can lead to flawed planning, resulting in scenarios that could have been avoided with a more humble approach. The irony is that in trying to assert our expertise, we often become blind to the bigger picture, losing sight of more effective strategies. Our personal stories and experiences give us valuable insights, yet when we hold on to them too tightly, that's where the real trouble begins. Ego can lead to a fortress mentality, where we become unwilling to entertain the possibility that we might need help or that other perspectives could be beneficial. Who would have thought that our greatest strengths could also be our most significant weaknesses? Recognizing and managing those ego-driven decisions is not just a practice, it's a superpower. The first step is awareness. Acknowledge that your instincts may not always serve you well when it comes to decision-making. You can pause and ask yourself a critical question. Am I making this choice based on what's best for the situation or what's best for my pride? Adopting a beginner's mindset, where you approach each situation as if you know nothing, is a powerful antidote to ego's grasp. Ask for feedback freely and genuinely consider it, rather than simply collecting compliments to stroke your ego. Embrace collaboration and invite diverse opinions. Doing so will not only enrich your plans, but will create a team environment where everyone feels valued. You can also practice humility actively. Celebrate the successes of others and acknowledge your own limitations. When you think you know it all, remember that this could be a blindfold to your actual potential. Every day offers a new opportunity to dissolve the walls your ego tries to build up around you. That's how you turn humility into an unrivaled strength in your planning endeavors. The essence of effective planning lies in the ability to adapt and be open-minded. Start by building a habit of questioning your assumptions regularly. What if the path I think is right is actually the wrong one? Engage others in discussions about your plans, and instead of holding tight to your ideas, be ready to pivot if someone presents a more viable option. Such conversations can turn into gold mines of insight that benefit not just planning, but broader decision-making as well. Set a practice of debriefing after projects, where you assess decisions made collaboratively rather than pointing fingers. Each debrief is not just a critique, it's a learning tool to refine your skills moving forward. The more you practice this, the more agile and resilient you become in navigating future challenges. Ultimately, viewing ego as both a guide and a guardrail enables you to move forward with a sense of empowerment. Challenge your own beliefs, dismantle the notion of infallibility, and watch as you become a more effective planner, equipped not just with knowledge, but with wisdom. Backwards reframing. Asking what could destroy this? Backwards reframing emerges as an intriguing tool that shifts your perspective from a linear view of successes to an expansive, almost upside-down exploration of potential failures. By deliberately asking, what could destroy this? You open a door to possibilities that might otherwise slip under your radar. This counterintuitive approach not only challenges your assumptions, but also invites you and your team to engage in deeper conversations about your plans. Imagine you are about to launch a groundbreaking product. Instead of fixating solely on your vision of success, you ponder the various ways it could fall apart. Poor market fit, unexpected competition, or even logistical nightmares. By contemplating these disasters first, you equip yourself to navigate back to solutions, crafting more robust strategies that proactively address those vulnerabilities. This isn't about pessimism. It's a powerful form of realism that prepares you for the unpredictable landscape of any venture. Let's take a closer look at how this technique works in the real world. Consider the scenario of starting a new restaurant in a bustling city. If you only focus on your culinary vision, it's easy to overlook critical factors like location, competition, and even food safety regulations. However, if you embrace backwards reframing by asking, what could go catastrophically wrong? You might identify blind spots such as inadequate market research or the risk of underestimating food costs. By addressing these concerns head-on, you can adjust your business plan. For instance, perhaps you recognize that a nearby eatery specializes in a similar cuisine and could hijack your potential customers. This moment of insight drives you to innovate your menu or enhance your marketing strategy, thereby transforming potential threats into strengths. The beauty of this method is its potential to rejuvenate your approach, encouraging not only problem-solving but creative risk-taking. To put backwards reframing into practice, gather your team and encourage open dialogue about fears and concerns surrounding your venture. Brainstorm scenarios that could lead to failure and prioritize developing strategies that either mitigate these risks or capitalize on them if they arise. This exercise shouldn't feel like a doomsday prophecy. Instead, think of it as a way to flex your innovative muscles. You'll notice how fear can become a catalyst for your vision, enhancing your overall strategy. Looking at the storm clouds instead of the clear skies can give way to a clearer view of your goals, turning unpredictable chaos into calculated creativity with every question and every answer. Chapter 3. Subtract to solve. Why less is more. Most people add solutions. Geniuses subtract problems. Genius lies not in the ability to pile on more solutions, but in the art of peeling away the unnecessary layers that obscure clarity. Simplifying complex issues through subtractive thinking can feel counterintuitive. After all, we're conditioned to believe that more is better. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a tangle of ideas, drowning in information? Geniuses have a knack for discerning what truly matters, showcasing a profound understanding that sometimes less truly is more. This approach requires courage and clarity, a willingness to confront discomfort head-on by stripping away complexities until only the essence remains. Imagine managing a project with a million moving parts. While most would try to massage every detail, a subtractive thinker would stop and ask, what can I eliminate to make this better? The brilliance of this mindset is its ability to unearth innovative solutions hidden beneath the noise of complication. Consider Steve Jobs, who revolutionized technology with the iPhone. His genius wasn't just in creating a new device, but in stripping away the excess features that bogged down previous phones. Jobs famously emphasized simplicity, insisting that every component must serve a clear purpose. Look at the elegance of the iPod, a device that could have been overloaded with buttons and features, but became iconic for its minimalist design. Then there's Einstein, who once quipped, everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler. He understood that the brilliance of science often lay in distilling fundamentals down to their purest form. These individuals didn't clutter their visions with unnecessary complexity. They embraced the challenge of reducing problems to their core elements, which provided a path to greatness. The lessons from these innovators illuminate a powerful strategy we can apply in our own lives. When faced with a dilemma, instead of throwing more resources or solutions at it, pause and assess. What can you remove? This could mean eliminating distractions in your daily routine, cutting out non-essential commitments, or even simplifying your decision-making process. Get comfortable with the idea of subtraction. It's not just about what you lose. It's about what you gain in clarity and focus. Apply this mindset, and you'll find that what you really need to solve most problems is not more answers, but less noise. Embrace this mental superpower and watch how it transforms your approach to challenges. How engineers, architects, and athletes optimize by removing complexity. In the realm of engineering, architects, and athletes, the quest to optimize often leads to the same conclusion. Simplicity is powerful. It's fascinating how all these professionals take a scalpel to complexity, surgically excising anything that doesn't directly contribute to their goals. For engineers, this might mean applying lean principles, stripping away waste to focus solely on what adds value. Architects often turn to minimalist design to create spaces that breathe and function without clutter, allowing for greater impact with fewer elements. Athletes, on the other hand, analyze every move, discarding extraneous actions and honing in on the mechanics that yield maximum performance. Techniques like motion capture not only reveal inefficiencies, but challenge established training methods. Each profession, in its own way, recognizes that when you eliminate the unnecessary, you make room for the extraordinary. Let's consider a few striking examples across these fields. In design, Apple's product line epitomizes optimization through elegant simplicity. The iPhone, with its minimal buttons and intuitive interface, strips down to what users truly need, enhancing the overall experience. In architecture, the work of Tadao Ando showcases how concrete and light can be manipulated to produce spaces that promote peace, directly reflecting the philosophy of less is more. Athletes like Usain Bolt demonstrate optimization in practice. His running technique isn't just about speed, it's about efficiency. He focuses on form, each stride strategically calculated to do the most with the least effort, allowing him to conserve energy and maximize velocity. These cases serve as reminders that whether you're building a bridge, a building, or breaking a record, the most effective solutions often come from peeling back layers of complication to reveal the core of what truly matters. As you ponder these examples, think about your own life. What are the unnecessary elements cluttering your decision-making or your workflow? By adopting an optimization mindset, you can learn to question conventions and challenge the status quo, looking for the efficiencies hidden beneath the surface. One practical tip to kickstart this process is to conduct a personal audit of your daily routines. Identify one task that feels complex or frustrating and ask yourself, what can be stripped away? This simple yet powerful exercise can empower you to embrace simplicity in your life, leading to improved effectiveness in each endeavor. The mental habit of simplicity, anti-goals, anti-clutter, anti-drama. Cultivating a mindset that prioritizes clarity and simplicity over complexity is like tuning a musical instrument. It takes time and practice, but once you find that sweet spot, everything resonates. Imagine a world where your decisions and actions aren't clouded by the noise of unnecessary complexities. This mindset doesn't mean holding back. It's about removing the clutter that weighs us down. It involves asking yourself what truly matters in your life and stripping away the excess until all that's left is the pure melody of your purpose. Embracing simplicity challenges the notion that more is always better. It invites you to take those mental gymnastics you've been doing and instead slip into a warm, cozy pair of slippers. It's not about being simplistic, but rather about wrestling complexity to the ground and finding the thread of truth woven through it. When you favor clarity, you start to see possibilities where others find confusion. You learn that saying no is a form of saying yes to your own priorities. You can sift through the chaos and come out the other side with focus and direction. Integrating practices to minimize distraction and unnecessary drama in your life is akin to training for a marathon. You need consistent effort, but the payoff is immense. Think of distractions as annoying little bots buzzing around your head, constantly demanding your attention. To combat them, you might want to set specific times to engage with technology or social media, as these platforms can often morph from tools of connection into sources of mayhem. Establishing boundaries around your time and energy isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-care. Each day, carve out periods of solitude where drama has no permission to intrude. It can be as simple as a brief morning routine devoted to silence or a nighttime ritual far away from screens. When you consciously cut down the drama, you not only save time but also reclaim mental space. You give yourself the leeway to think deeply and creatively, transforming mundane moments into opportunities for clarity and insight. This doesn't mean becoming a hermit. Rather, it's about surrounding yourself with energy that uplifts and inspires, while gently letting go of what detracts from your mental peace. As you walk this path, remember that simplicity isn't a destination, it's a continuous journey. Equip yourself with the habit of regularly evaluating what you allow into your life. Keep a mental inventory of your commitments and relationships. Ask yourself if they truly align with your core values. This process not only declutters your mind, but also strengthens your ability to make decisions with unwavering confidence. So, take a moment each day to breathe, reflect, and adjust your focus. In the chaos of modern life, simplicity can feel like a refreshing breeze, a breath of fresh air, waiting for you to embrace it. The simpler you live, the more extraordinary your life can become. Practical application. Apply subtractive thinking to a personal decision. Subtractive thinking might sound like a fancy term from a college course on advanced thought processes, but it's actually straightforward, even liberating. Let's say you recently had to decide whether to take a new job offer. First, strip away the noise. Set aside those enticing salary figures, the shiny benefits, and the initial excitement that comes with a new title. Instead, ask the critical questions. What do you actually want from this job? Is it the work-life balance, the company culture, or the potential for growth that fires you up? Write those priorities down. Now look closely at your list and think critically about each point. What can you eliminate that doesn't truly align with your broader life goals? Maybe the prestige that comes with a corner office isn't as important as flexible hours that allow for family time. By the end of this process, you should have a clearer, refined view of what matters most for this next chapter in your career. After employing this method, reflect on what transpired. How did this exercise in subtractive thinking transform your view on the job decision? You likely experienced a sense of clarity that may have eluded you before. This newfound perspective can challenge your earlier beliefs that higher pay or a grand title automatically means a better opportunity. Instead, you learn to value alignment over ambition. It's empowering to realize that many pressures, like societal expectations or the allure of luxury, can be baseless. Now, your decision isn't clouded by shiny distractions, but rather anchored in personal values. Consider how this process could apply to other areas, whether it involves relationships, purchases, or even daily routines. Aim to remove what doesn't serve you, and you'll discover a powerful shift in your decision-making pathway. Managing decisions through a subtractive lens may seem counterintuitive at first, but it offers a psychological toolbox full of potential mental superpowers. Think about this. What would your day look like if you approached each choice by subtracting what doesn't matter? It could be as simple as decluttering your schedule or reassessing friendships that drain you. The next time you're faced with a decision, remember that sometimes less is more. Embrace the freedom that comes from focusing solely on what enhances your life, and you'll find meaningful, impactful choices waiting to greet you. Chapter 4. From Outcome to Obstacle, Reverse Engineering Any Goal. Start with failure. Why reverse engineering goals leads to better strategy. Reverse engineering is an intriguing approach to proactive planning. By turning the usual goal-setting process on its head, you start with the end in mind, but not the shining success at the finish line. Instead, you examine potential failures. Imagine standing at the crossroads of your ideas, gazing not just at the bright light of success, but also at the alleyways of possible disasters. This method, while counterintuitive, forces us to confront our fears, our blind spots, and the intricacies of our ambitions in a way that conventional goal setting often overlooks. You may find that visualizing failure isn't a grim exercise. It's liberating. Every setback you can imagine opens a portal to insights you might never have considered. Perhaps you are not prepared for the pressure, the resources, or the sheer effort needed to realize your dream. Most importantly, acknowledging these potential pitfalls allows you to create a far more resilient and adaptable strategy, one built not just on the hope of success, but on a realistic understanding of the landscape you're navigating. Starting with potential failures reveals hidden insights that are waiting to be discovered. Think about it for a moment. When you focus on what could go wrong, you become adept at spotting the red flags that you may have previously ignored in the excitement of planning a future full of triumphs. Let's say your goal is to launch a new product. Instead of idealizing market reception, consider the possible reasons for its failure. Poor market fit, lack of customer awareness, inadequate funding, or unexpected competition. By simulating these scenarios, you create a robust framework for risk management. This isn't pessimism, it's smart thinking. Assessing the what-if scenarios equips you with strategies to mitigate disaster. Once you uncover these layers of complexity, you can begin to reverse engineer strategies that address these vulnerabilities. You're not merely reacting to failures as they come. You're preemptively dodging them, constructing your masterpiece from the safety of informed choices. Equipped with this mindset, your approach becomes proactive rather than reactive. You become a strategist aware of the battlefield, armed with knowledge that shifts the balance in your favor. You create alternatives and establish backup plans, all while maintaining your forward momentum. You're not abandoning your dreams. you're enriching them with a deeper understanding of the journey ahead. This emphasis on anticipating challenges leads to fostering innovative solutions that can transform potential setbacks into opportunities for growth. Embrace the notion that failure is not just an endpoint, but a critical part of your strategy evolution. To harness this effectively, regularly reflect on your experiences and document the lessons learned along the way. This practice arms you with mental superpowers that not only prepare you for the road ahead, but inspire others to innovate boldly while considering all possibilities. Success isn't built forward, it's unraveled backwards. Many people walk through life believing that success is a straight line, a neat little path you carve out from point A to point B. This perception is not only misleading, but can also be stifling. Success rarely unfolds in a predictable way. Instead, if you take a mindful look at your past, you may find that the moments that built your success were born from experiences, failures, and unexpected detours. Reflecting backward allows us to acknowledge the hurdles that taught us resilience and the serendipitous events that shaped our journeys. It shifts our focus from what we must achieve next to what we have already navigated, offering an empowering lens through which we can understand our growth. When we look back, we start to see connections that weren't visible while we were sprinting forward. Triggering those memories can remind us of our capabilities, and it creates clarity for the path ahead, laying the groundwork for building future successes. To apply this reverse logic in your own life, start by considering your achievements as the culmination of lessons learned along the way. Reflect on a time when you faced a setback. Think about the knowledge you gained or the skills you developed as a result. By dissecting these experiences, you can identify patterns and solidify strategies that resonate with your core strengths. Try keeping a journal dedicated to this exercise. Periodically write about past situations where challenges led to breakthroughs. Ask yourself questions like, what did I learn from this? Or how can I leverage this knowledge moving forward? This journey into your past is not meant to be an exercise in nostalgia, but rather a proactive method of crafting your future. The wisdom gained from reflective thinking can serve as a powerful compass, guiding you toward choices in your personal pursuits that align with both your strengths and your values. Integrating backward thinking isn't about disregarding forward planning. Rather, it's about harmonizing the two. When you plan for the future, consider starting with an end in mind and unraveling the steps that got you there backward. What were the last critical actions you took? What led you to that final destination? Reverse engineering your goals can unearth hidden strategies essential for reaching them. You are not a mere passenger on a journey. You are the architect of your path. By embracing this counterintuitive approach, you gain a richer toolkit, transforming challenges into stepping stones. Remember that every setback is a setup for a comeback. Extracting lessons from the past elevates your potential for the future. As you engage with your history, it can feel like wielding a powerful pair of mental superpowers that can propel you forward with greater clarity and confidence. The pre-mortem technique, predicting failure before it happens. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a project, ready to dive in. But instead of just jumping, you take a moment to envision what might go wrong. This is the essence of a pre-mortem, a process designed to help you unpack potential pitfalls before they even have a chance to trip you up. Start by gathering your team in a room where ideas flow freely. It's crucial to create an atmosphere where everyone feels comfortable voicing concerns or wild possibilities. Next, ask the group to imagine that the project has failed spectacularly. What happened? How did it all go wrong? Encourage every member to throw out their theories, no matter how outlandish, because sometimes the craziest thoughts can uncover very real issues lurking beneath the surface. Document these ideas and embrace the chaos. You're not looking for consensus. You're simply gathering raw insights. This process allows you to see vulnerabilities you might not have otherwise considered, all while keeping the mood light and engaging. By the end of this brainstorming session, you will have a clearer picture of what hurdles lie ahead, armed with insights for better planning. Now that you understand the theory, let's tackle the application. Picture this. You're about to embark on a new project, perhaps launching a product or implementing a new process. To set the stage for your pre-mortem, gather your team and provide them with some context about the project. Lay out objectives, timelines, and relevant background information. After everyone is on the same page, plunge into the exercise. Start the discussion by asking, what could go wrong if we face resistance, budget overruns, or unforeseen delays? Give everyone 15 or so minutes to jot down their thoughts and encourage a no-holds-barred discussion afterwards. Make sure to explore each point thoroughly. Problematic assumptions, gaps in resources, and conflicting priorities often emerge when you peel back the layers of seemingly innocuous ideas. Once you've compiled a solid list of potential failures, the work isn't over. The team should now brainstorm solutions or preventive measures for each identified obstacle. This is where empowerment comes into play. You're transforming potential disasters into opportunities for growth and learning. Finally, codify these findings and weave them into your project plan. This way, the insights gathered from your premortem aren't just theoretical musings, but actionable strategies that give your project the best chance of success. Embracing the premortem approach not only enhances your foresight, but also cultivates a culture of open communication and collaboration among your team. Be bold, take those insights seriously, and remember, it's not about expecting failure but preparing for it. Ask the hard questions up front, challenge assumptions, and most importantly, allow this practice to transform the way you approach projects. Consider keeping a pre-mortem checklist to refer back to in future efforts, ensuring that each step remains a vital part of your project planning toolkit. Real-life example: how Elon Musk backward planned SpaceX's success. Elon Musk's approach to backward planning truly exemplifies a revolutionary mindset in innovation. Instead of merely setting lofty goals like a traditional entrepreneur, Musk envisions the end result first. This means he doesn't just think about launching rockets. He imagines humans on Mars, thriving and building a future. With that clear picture in mind, every decision he makes is informed by that ultimate goal. This backward planning process challenges the status quo. It forces teams to reevaluate every step in their strategy, often leading to surprising and innovative solutions. Thinking backward turns the usual process on its head. Instead of trailing behind industry timelines, it allows for preemptive adaptation and unexpected leaps forward. When Musk approached SpaceX, the first question wasn't how do we launch a rocket, but rather, how do we make humans multiplanetary? This shift in the inquiry directed the innovation process, laying out a pathway framed around potential pitfalls and opportunities, turning failure into a tool for learning rather than just a setback. The importance of this backward-looking mindset becomes particularly evident when examining the numerous challenges within the space industry. SpaceX entered a field dominated by giants, like NASA and Boeing, where the bar was set perilously high. Rather than being deterred, Musk's team leveraged this mindset, allowing them to embrace frugality and agility. For instance, rather than spiraling costs on bloated projects, they identified ways to build reusable rocket stages. This capability drastically changed the economics of space travel, making it accessible in ways previously deemed impossible. By prioritizing the long-term vision of making space travel affordable and sustainable, Musk's method showed that the most audacious dreams could drive practical innovation. The result: SpaceX defied all odds and consistently outperformed expectations because they were not just reacting to the present challenges, but actively designing solutions tailored for the future. To distill the essence of Musk's backward planning into a practical tool, when faced with a big problem, define what success looks like first. Ask yourself, what does the ideal outcome look like in 5 or 10 years? Then, work backward to craft a roadmap that identifies potential obstacles, resources needed, and strategic pivots. This technique not only empowers innovative thinking, but also equips you to anticipate disruptions instead of merely surviving them. By focusing on the desired end, you can empower yourself to think differently, align your team more effectively, and discover pathways that are less visible from the traditional forward-thinking timeline. Chapter 5: The Anti-You. Using the opposite of your instincts. Why your natural thinking is often your worst enemy. Imagine you're navigating through a dense forest. Your instincts tell you to follow the well-trodden path, the one that looks safe and familiar. Yet, those paths often lead to places you've already been, sometimes tripping you up when you least expect it. This is how our common thought patterns often derail effective decision-making. We cling to mental shortcuts, heuristics, that promise quick answers but more often than not lead us astray. For instance, confirmation bias nudges you to seek information that supports your existing beliefs while disregarding opposing views. You might find yourself convinced that your choice is the best one simply because you unconsciously filtered out all evidence to the contrary. Just like that forest path, It's easy to get lost in the comforting embrace of ideas that feel right rather than those that are actually right. Recognizing when you're falling victim to these instinctual pitfalls requires a bit of self-scrutiny. Have you ever felt a tight knot in your stomach when faced with a decision? That internal resistance can be a major clue, but often it's simply brushed aside. You may catch yourself quickly rationalizing bad decisions, spinning a story in your head that softens the blow of your choices. A sign that your mind is playing tricks is when you feel an overwhelming urge to act without analysis, especially when emotions run high. This whirlwind of instinctual response often leads us down forking paths that look enticing at first glance, but ultimately lead to regret. The key lies in slowing down, taking an inventory of your emotions, and assessing the landscape of your thoughts like a seasoned traveler would study a map before proceeding. Embrace that moment of doubt. It's often more illuminating than you assume. As you navigate this forest of decision-making, it's crucial to equip yourself with the right thinking tools, your mental superpowers. This means meticulously questioning your assumptions and diving deeper into your thought processes. Consider journaling your decisions, detailing not just what you chose, but why you chose it. Acknowledge the emotions tied to those choices and whether they influenced your reasoning. This reflective practice sharpens your awareness and arms you against the outdated beliefs that cling to you like cobwebs in the corners of your mind. Remember, the path less traveled may be rocky and daunting, but it's often paved with growth and discovery. By challenging your instincts and honing your decision-making skills, you transform uncertainty into an empowering journey of self-discovery. How geniuses think against themselves and win. Brilliant minds often employ counterintuitive strategies to navigate their own cognitive biases. They recognize that the brain, while powerful, is also prone to shortcuts that can distort reality. Instead of taking their instinctual feelings at face value, they actively question them. This process requires a certain level of self-awareness and vulnerability. By examining their thought processes, they can expose the flaws in their reasoning, such as confirmation bias or overconfidence. For example, a successful investor might ignore their gut feeling when a stock seems hot, choosing instead to delve into data and logical analysis. This analytical approach helps them to make informed decisions rather than emotional ones, showcasing the idea that sometimes you have to think against what feels right to find the truth. Consider figures like Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs, both of whom thrived by championing ideas that went against the grain. Einstein's theory of relativity contradicted the established Newtonian views that dominated physics. He dared to challenge widely accepted notions, which some thought made him foolish at the time. Similarly, Steve Jobs consistently defied the norms of the tech industry. Rather than following market trends, he trusted his vision of what technology should be, designing products that fundamentally changed the way we interact with devices. Each of these individuals succeeded because they refused to accept conventional wisdom and instead cultivated an inner dialogue that encouraged critical thinking and skepticism about their own assumptions. The true power of thinking against oneself lies not only in achieving personal success, but also in fostering innovation and creativity. Embracing discomfort in our thinking can spark remarkable breakthroughs. Engage in practices like journaling or having debates with yourself on various issues. When you find a belief you hold dear, challenge it relentlessly. This doesn't just apply to grand theories or monumental problems. It can be useful for everyday decisions, too. The next time you encounter a decision that feels instinctively right, take a step back and consider the counterarguments. You might just discover a hidden gem of insight waiting for you beneath the surface of your gut feelings. Exercise. Flip your habitual response, anger, avoidance, control, and see what happens. Consider how often your reactions are programmed responses, like muscle memory for the mind. When faced with anger, many of us default to raising our voices, clenched fists, or the cold shoulder. It's almost as if we've been cast in a bad film, dutifully playing out our roles without a second thought. But what if you dared to flip the script? Instead of shouting, you might think about taking a breath and responding with humor, or instead of avoiding a tough conversation, you could lean in and ask questions. Try engaging in scenarios where you consciously choose to respond differently. It's almost like giving your brain a delightful shock. The next time you feel anger bubbling up, instead of letting it take the wheel, allow yourself to express curiosity instead, or offer a compliment. It might feel awkward at first, but awkwardness is often the precursor to growth. Now, let's line up the unexpected outcomes. Picture this. You shift your immediate reaction from offense to inquiry, and suddenly, the conversation transforms. You might find the person on the other side is just as bewildered as you are by this new dance. The energy changes, and you produce a dialogue rather than a battle. When you step away from avoidance, you might discover a wealth of wisdom hiding in the very discomfort you'd rather sidestep. You become the heroine in your own drama, not waiting for a savior to swoop in, but wielding your own superpower of choice. The beauty of flipping these habitual responses is that you create a ripple effect, not only for yourself but for those around you. People begin to respond differently. Your courage to change inspires them to rise above their own reactions, leading to deeper connections. As an empowering parting thought, a practical exercise you can start today is to keep a small journal. Every time you catch yourself reacting in your usual way, whether it's feeling consumed by anger, choosing to avoid a butterfly-inducing conversation, or attempting to control a situation, pause and jot it down. Next to it, write down how flipping that response could alter the outcome. Over time, this simple act will boost your awareness and help you embrace your innate power to shift not just your reactions, but the very atmosphere around you. Remember, the key lies not just in flipping your responses, but in honing the awareness to recognize when and how to do it. This realization becomes your compass, guiding you toward more profound personal growth every single day. Becoming the observer of your own mental errors. Self-awareness starts with noticing the thoughts that flit through your mind. Imagine your brain as a busy train station, with trains of thoughts coming and going at an alarming rate. Most of the time, we hop on these trains without even checking the destination. To develop self-awareness, take a step back and become the station master. Instead of mindlessly boarding every train of thought, observe which ones are arriving and departing. Ask yourself questions. What am I thinking right now, and why? Is this thought rooted in reality, or is it simply a mental error? By practicing this level of observation, you begin to identify patterns in your thinking, particularly those pesky mental errors that may be guiding you astray. You'll realize that your thoughts aren't always allies. They can be mischief makers too. The key is to catch them in the act and acknowledge their presence without judgment. This practice of being the observer allows you to disengage from mental chaos and instead appreciate the landscape of your mind. Once you've got a handle on observing your thought processes, it's time to equip yourself with tools to analyze and adjust those mental errors. Think of yourself as a detective on a mission, armed with a magnifying glass, ready to uncover clues about your thinking habits. One powerful tool is the simple act of journaling. Write down your thoughts, particularly the negative or irrational ones, and then dissect them. Look for cognitive distortions, like all-or-nothing thinking or overgeneralization, that tend to sneak into your mental conversations. Challenge these thoughts. Are they truthful or factual, or are they based on assumptions and fears? This process not only illuminates your thought patterns, but also provides a platform for you to restructure those thoughts. Replace them with more balanced or empowering alternatives. Another effective strategy is to engage in dialogues with yourself. Picture this, a debate where you challenge your own assumptions. This playful exchange can reveal flaws in your reasoning, helping you to shatter the illusion of certainty that often paralyzes critical thinking. As you embrace this empowering journey, remember that it's not about eliminating all mental errors. It's about learning to spot them and adjust your course. Consider every observation and adjustment as a stepping stone towards personal growth. Celebrate the small victories when your self-awareness leads to a better decision or when you can laugh off old beliefs that no longer serve you. Every time you catch a mental error, you're sharpening your mental superpowers. The more you practice, the more adept you'll become at reframing challenges into opportunities for growth. Finally, a practical tip. Whenever you catch yourself spiraling into a negative thought, pause and take 3 deep breaths. This slows down your racing mind and offers a moment to choose your next thought wisely. Take this moment of mindfulness and watch how it transforms your perception and emotional landscape. Chapter 6. Avoiding stupidity is smarter than chasing brilliance. The wisdom of avoiding avoidable errors. Many failures can be avoided by simply recognizing common pitfalls. The world is full of traps that seem innocuous, but can lead even the brightest minds into a spiral of complications. It's almost comical how often we ignore simple solutions to complex problems. Picture this, A project manager overlooks the importance of clear communication during a team meeting. What starts as a minor miscommunication can spiral out into missed deadlines, wasted resources, and blame games reminiscent of a poorly directed sitcom. Recognizing these traps requires a sharp eye and a willingness to reflect rather than react. Awareness transforms us from mere passengers in our lives to skilled drivers navigating the labyrinth of decisions, steering clear of the common blunders that ensnare many. Take a glance at industries where avoiding idiocy has birthed resounding success. Think about the tech industry, where companies like Apple have soared not just because of innovative products, but because they have a knack for learning from mistakes. When Apple launched the first iteration of the iPod, they made a point to gather feedback. It was from listening they uncovered what users wanted next. Tesla followed suit. Their willingness to iterate based on customer feedback rather than a rigid adherence to original designs has propelled them to the forefront of the automotive world. In these cases, avoiding the pitfall of sticking rigidly to the status quo has not only kept companies afloat, but has rocketed them to stratospheric heights. It's funny how adopting a mindset that prioritizes learning over pride can transform our approach to challenges. When faced with a choice, think about how you could sidestep avoidable blunders. Instead of charging ahead, pause and engage your critical thinking. Ask yourself if there are indicators you might be glossing over. Embrace feedback like a friend and let go of the ego that whispers avoidance of accountability. Empower yourself with the tools to navigate through life, because wisdom isn't just in knowing, it's in recognizing what we can avoid altogether. Why subtraction of bad habits outperforms adding good ones. Consider the power of eliminating detrimental behaviors rather than just trying to pile on positive ones. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Most self-help advice is all about adding new habits. Exercise more, eat healthier, read daily. But what if I told you that removing just one or two bad habits could propel you further than a dozen good ones? Too often, we're like overloaded plate spinners, desperately trying to keep everything in motion while the weight of bad habits pulls us down. When you focus solely on adding good, you often ignore that pesky baggage dragging you into chaos. Imagine trying to run with a bag full of rocks. No matter how brisk your stride, those rocks will slow you down. By shedding those rocks, like procrastination, negative self-talk, or toxic relationships, you help clear the path for what truly matters. It's through subtraction that you can create space for genuine possibilities, leading to heightened clarity and effectiveness in your daily life. There are numerous successful cases that highlight how subtraction transforms lives. Take, for example, a corporate executive who is constantly stressed due to excessive work commitments. Instead of taking on time management workshops to balance his day, he chose to let go of unnecessary meetings and delegate tasks. The result: not only did he find a healthier work-life balance, but his productivity soared. Or consider the case of someone struggling with weight loss. Instead of focusing solely on adopting extreme diets, they eliminated late-night snacking and excessive soda consumption, leading to impressive results without feeling deprived. These examples illustrate that the magic truly happens when we prioritize liberation from our worst habits, allowing our best behaviors to flow naturally without the constant tug of negativity. When looking to bring about change, remember this: the less clutter in your mental and physical space, the more opportunity for growth. You may feel the urge to jump into a whirlwind of fresh habits to transform your life. But take a moment to consider what you can stop doing instead. Whether it's saying yes to every request on your calendar, scrolling endlessly through social media, or using limiting language when you talk about yourself, realize that these small subtractions can lead to massive changes. Start simple. Identify one bad habit you wish to drop, and watch how even a small victory can set you on the path to unexpected strengths and empower your journey of growth. Examples from aviation, medicine, and military operations. High-stakes industries like aviation, medicine, and military operations have one thing in common. Their work often revolves around high-pressure environments where a single mistake can lead to catastrophic results. In aviation, for instance, the training of pilots is not just about how to fly an airplane. It's also about avoiding errors through meticulous attention to detail. The philosophy of sterile cockpit in aviation highlights this. During critical phases of flight, distractions are minimized to promote sharp focus. This approach not only reduces the risk of accidents, but also instills a culture of precision and responsibility. Similarly, in medicine, Surgeons follow checklists before proceeding with operations to prevent any slip-ups related to patient safety. These protocols may seem tedious, but they are powerful tools that reinforce careful thinking and stress the significance of preventing errors before they happen. Interestingly, backwards thinking, or starting with the end in mind, is a strategy these fields have cleverly integrated to elevate safety and performance. In military operations, planning often begins with envisioning the desired outcome. This method allows strategists to identify potential pitfalls and craft contingency plans before anomalies arise. By assessing what a successful operation looks like or what a safe flight entails, operators can backtrack and address possible roadblocks. In medicine, the process is similar. Doctors often envision the ideal recovery for their patients and work backwards to formulate a care plan. Surprisingly, this approach not only empowers professionals but also challenges conventional thought, making it clear that contemplating failure can be just as enlightening as planning for success. It's almost counterintuitive, but envisioning the worst can prepare you for the best. As individuals, we can harness these lessons from aviation, medicine, and military frameworks to improve our own decision-making processes. Whether you're making a big life choice or tackling a challenging project at work, taking a moment to visualize the potential obstacles can equip you with insights to navigate complexities with better foresight. By adopting this integrative mindset, being proactive, aware, and admittedly a little paranoid, we can turn error avoidance into a personal superpower. Next time you face a decision, ask yourself, what's the worst-case scenario? And how can I plan to avoid it? This simple shift in perspective can empower you to navigate challenges with confidence and skill. The inverted checklist, what not to do daily. Imagine flipping your to-do list upside down. Instead of focusing on what you need to accomplish, you start with what you absolutely shouldn't do. This is the essence of the inverted checklist, a counterintuitive yet powerful tool for decision-making. Instead of just checking off accomplishments, you're actively erasing what drains your energy, complicates your day, or leads you away from your true goals. By recognizing the detrimental actions you might unconsciously repeat, you create a space for better choices. This approach not only clarifies your path, but also bumps up your productivity while minimizing stress and overwhelm, which is something we could all use in our busy lives. Creating a practical template for your inverted checklist is simple. Start by dedicating a few minutes every evening to reflect on your day. Ask yourself, what behaviors or habits did I engage in that hindered my progress? Did I scroll mindlessly through social media instead of working on that project? Did I say yes to too many commitments, stretching my energy too thin? Write these insights down. You can format it like this. 1. Avoid checking emails first thing in the morning. 2. Don't engage in negative self-talk. 3. Steer clear of procrastinating important tasks. This isn't about being perfect, it's about building awareness. Each day, review your checklist and adjust it as your habits evolve. It's like customizing a mental map that leads you away from distractions and towards what truly matters. Ultimately, the goal of your inverted checklist is to empower you. You have the opportunity to challenge your ingrained habits and replace them with mindful actions. Embracing this mindset requires a playful irreverence towards old beliefs. Treat this process like a scavenger hunt. Identify and discard the mental clutter holding you back. The brilliance of this tool lies in its ability to help you understand that by focusing on what to avoid, you might just stumble upon a clearer, more authentic version of yourself. As you create this list, remind yourself that every no you write down opens up a space for a more meaningful yes tomorrow. Sometimes, knowing what not to do is the superpower that leads you to your best self. Chapter 7. Think like a historian, act like a futurist. Geniuses learn by studying backward, through time. Analyzing historical patterns reveals valuable lessons that can seem hidden in plain sight. Many of us have been conditioned to think of history as a linear narrative, a list of events that led us to where we are now. But what if we flipped that notion? What if the key to understanding the future lies not in what's happening now, but in parsing through the archives of the past? Consider how humanity has faced similar crises in various forms: economic depressions, pandemics, and revolutions. Each time, we see distinct patterns emerge. For instance, take the Great Depression of the 1930s and the financial crash of 2008. While the specifics were different, the underlying themes of mismanaged resources, rampant speculation, and loss of public trust are eerily similar. By studying these events, we aren't just remembering them. We're equipping ourselves to recognize warning signs and potential solutions as they unfold in contemporary scenarios. We give ourselves a playbook drawn from history's rich, sometimes messy lessons. The connection between history and predicting future trends becomes clearer when we realize that human behavior has remained largely constant over time. People may don new clothing or adopt new technologies, but their motivations, fears, and desires are often repetitive. Trends like the rise and fall of empires or the cyclical nature of art movements. Think about how the brutality of World War I birthed the vibrant and rebellious art of the Roaring Twenties, prove that we can glean insights into what might come next. The 21st century feels chaotic, but isn't it a reflection of previous centuries' turbulence? Keeping an eye on historical trends allows us to make educated guesses about our path forward. You want to be like that savvy investor who picks up on the nuances of a market before it takes off, using tools from the past to shape predictions about what's ahead. When you wrestle with historical data, you aren't just a student of the past, you become a strategist for the future. Approach each lesson with curiosity, asking questions that challenge conventional wisdom. Look for the oddities and the missteps. These are often the most illuminating. Yes, we can make some colossal mistakes, but let's not forget that history is also full of brilliance and innovation. By embracing a counterintuitive mindset, one that treasures insights from past blunders and triumphs, you'll discover that every generation has a wealth of knowledge to offer. Consider this. There's great power in learning from history because it gives you the mental superpowers to navigate through uncertainty. Dive into the past, recognize those patterns, and you arm yourself not just with knowledge, but with the means to impact the future you wish to see. Understanding long-term consequences through reverse logic. Context matters immensely when trying to dissect the long-term impact of our decisions. It's easy to lose sight of how one small choice can ripple through our lives over time. Imagine buying that flashy gadget. In the moment, it feels like a win, a tangible reward for a hard day's work. But what about 6 months later, when it contributes to a cycle of clutter and distraction? Recognizing the true impact of our decisions requires us to be detectives in our lives, seeking clues that reveal how choices play out in the larger picture. The brilliance lies in understanding that every decision is a domino, and that chain reaction can lead to unexpected outcomes. The art of navigating those interconnections allows us to appreciate not just the immediate gratification a choice offers, but the longer-term effects that shape our happiness, fitness, relationships, and financial health. The deeper we dig into this context, the more empowered we become in our decision-making, transforming us into proactive architects of our futures. Incorporating long-term thinking into daily choices is a game changer. Picture it as zooming out on your life's map. Suddenly, the directions become clearer with a broader perspective. One method is to ask yourself critical questions before making a choice. How will this decision affect me a month from now? A year from now? It's a bit like playing chess versus checkers. You can start by setting long-term goals and then think backward to map out the steps that lead there. This reverse engineering approach highlights the significance of each step, no matter how small. Another empowering tool is the 30-day rule. When faced with a tempting impulse purchase, give it a month. If that desire still lingers after 30 days, it might be worth considering. This simple delay can help clarify whether the choice stems from genuine need or transient whim. By weaving these practices into your daily routine, you cultivate a mindset that not only anticipates future consequences, but actively shapes them. Empowering yourself with these insights can feel like gaining a superpower, enabling you to navigate through life's choices with a fresh lens. Embrace the quirky nature of our human experiences. What seems trivial in the moment often unveils wisdom later. The decisions you make today are the seeds of your tomorrow, and nurturing a long-term perspective allows you to grow a garden rich with fulfillment rather than a tangled mess of regret. Remember, the choices we ponder, even the mundane, offer profound potential when viewed as part of a larger strategy for living well. Practice pressing pause to examine your choices, and you'll likely find that even the most counterintuitive decisions carry a wealth of wisdom waiting to be unveiled. How to forecast by starting with the worst-case scenario. Starting with the worst-case scenario is a technique that turns conventional forecasting upside down. While most people are inclined to paint rosy pictures of the future, envisioning the most positive outcomes, This method dares you to dive into the depths of possibility and confront your deepest fears. By projecting the worst outcomes first, you create a powerful baseline for your forecasts that reveals the most critical vulnerabilities and risks, enabling you to pinpoint precisely what needs attention. It's a bit like preparing for a roller coaster ride. You can't fully enjoy the thrills unless you know you're strapped in tight against the potential for the worst drop. This approach not only sharpens your forecasting skills, but also liberates you from the paralysis that often accompanies uncertainty. You begin to understand that fear can be harnessed as a catalyst for insight rather than a deterrent, turning the ominous into the actionable. Implementing this approach effectively is more straightforward than you might think. First, take a moment to step away from any optimistic bias that might cloud your judgment. Begin by laying out the worst-case scenario of your project or initiative. Imagine everything that could go wrong, no matter how improbable it may seem. This exercise allows you to explore angles you might have otherwise overlooked. Once you have your worst-case scenarios mapped out, analyze them critically. What specific elements could lead to these outcomes? Identify the variables at play, and ask yourself what factors could potentially mitigate the risks you've identified. Having unpacked the worst, you can now recalibrate your expectations and develop strategies to either avoid or lessen these adverse events. This isn't about indulging in doom and gloom. It's about empowering yourself with the knowledge that you've considered the dark side of your situation. From this informed position, you can move to devise a robust, resilient plan that accounts for optimism, yet undergirds it with a strong foundation of reality. One practical tip as you embark on this forecasting journey is to keep a journal of your worst-case scenarios and the corresponding insights you glean from them. Over time, this will become a powerful repository of wisdom that you can refer back to. Don't be afraid to revisit and update these entries as you encounter new challenges or as your context shifts. The real brilliance of this technique lies not just in the initial exercise, but in the ongoing dialogue it fosters within you. It's a form of mental calibration that allows you to dance between optimism and realism, empowering you to not only foresee potential pitfalls, but also reinforce your resolve with a more grounded outlook. In essence, embracing the worst-case scenario is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a passport to a more nuanced, empowered approach to forecasting in life. Building a personal time machine mindset. Imagine for a moment that you could step into a machine that allows you to traverse the corridors of time. What would it mean to revisit your childhood, to embrace the lessons learned through youthful blunders, or to flash forward to a future where your dreams have already come to fruition? Cultivating a mindset that can transport you between past, present, and future is less about science fiction and more about a powerful psychological tool. It's about recognizing that your mental time travel isn't bound by the laws of physics. It's an exercise in perspective. By deliberately engaging with your memories and aspirations, you open yourself to a world where past experiences fuel present creativity and future possibilities ignite current action. When you allow your thoughts to wander freely across these timelines, it becomes easier to see patterns, derive wisdom, and break free from the static, unyielding grip of the here and now. What's more, this mindset doesn't just add depth to your internal dialogue. It also enhances your ability to connect disparate ideas, transforming your understanding of both yourself and the world around you. Using this time travel mindset can significantly enhance your creativity and problem-solving abilities. When you pull insights from past experiences, successes and failures alike, you gain a treasure trove of wisdom to apply to current challenges. This technique allows you to reframe obstacles as opportunities for growth, making it easier to generate original solutions that might otherwise remain buried under the weight of conventional thought. Moreover, envisioning future scenarios invigorates your brainstorming sessions, pushing you to dream bigger and think broader. You'll find that what once felt impossible is now merely an interesting challenge. By flipping the switch from linear thinking to this multidimensional approach, you can effortlessly weave together ideas that may initially seem unrelated. The beauty of this method is that it encourages you to be playful with your thoughts. It's not just about arriving at the right answer, but about enjoying the journey of exploration and discovery. To put this mindset into practice, carve out time in your daily routine for mental time travel. Start with simple exercises, like journaling about a cherished memory or jotting down your hopes for the future. This becomes a ritual where your past and future collide in enlightening ways, sparking creativity and deeper understanding. You might find that as you embrace this playful journey, your clarity and insight increase, along with your ability to tackle complex problems. This isn't just about thinking outside the box. It's about reinventing the box altogether, expanding its boundaries, and transforming how you perceive time, possibilities, and solutions. It's time to step into your own time machine and unleash your mental superpowers. Chapter 8: Mental Models in Reverse. Unlearning what hurts you. What is a mental model, and why most of yours are outdated? Mental models are the frameworks we use to understand the world. They shape how we think, react, and make decisions. Picture mental models as the hidden software running on the computer of your mind. They inform your beliefs about everything from relationships to money, influencing not just how you interpret events, but how you respond to them. When you encounter new situations, you tap into these mental shortcuts to navigate your decisions. However, what happens when those models are based on outdated information or perspectives? The dangers can be substantial. If your mental models are stale, they can lead to misunderstandings, missed opportunities, and a lot of unnecessary frustration. Sticking with outdated mental models is akin to wearing glasses that haven't been updated since high school. The world's moved on, but your eyesight hasn't. Perhaps you still believe that hard work alone guarantees success, ignoring the fact that connections and adaptability are increasingly crucial in today's fast-paced world. These old assumptions corrode your ability to perceive new realities or grasp emerging trends. They can box you into a limited way of thinking, making it hard to innovate or change course when opportunities arise. The real irony lies in that our minds yearn for certainty, preferring the comfort of familiar beliefs even when they no longer serve us well. Your first step towards empowerment is recognizing the existence of these outdated models. Start experimenting with new perspectives, treating your thoughts as hypotheses rather than carved-in-stone beliefs. Ask yourself, what if I viewed this situation differently? Or what evidence do I have that my belief still holds true? This simple shift in questioning can gently nudge you towards more relevant and effective ways of thinking. Venturing beyond what's familiar might feel uncomfortable, but each tiny step you take in challenging your old beliefs can unveil sharp, new insights that transform how you interact with the world. How to question your assumptions by inverting them. Challenging and inverting your assumptions might sound like lifting weights for your brain, but it can be a playful exercise too. Start by taking a step back and asking yourself, what if I flip this idea upside down? If you believe that studying hard is the only way to succeed, ask, what if doing less studying opened up more opportunities for creative thinking? This technique frees your mind to explore alternatives that could lead to unexpected insights. Try transforming your question into its opposite. Instead of, why do most people think this? Consider, why would anyone think the opposite? By shaking the foundations of what you believe and questioning the validity of your assumptions, you engage in a mental dance that fosters innovation and creativity. Many individuals have experienced groundbreaking changes in their lives by inverting their assumptions. Take the story of an entrepreneur who believed that success was reserved for those who followed a traditional path. After seriously questioning this, they decided to start a business based on a hobby rather than a formal career. This led not only to happiness and fulfillment, but also to a thriving enterprise that defied all their initial expectations. Similarly, there's the tale of a scientist who believed that certain old theories were untouchable. By daring to question and invert these beliefs, they stumbled upon a revolutionary idea that reshaped their field. These success stories highlight how liberating it can be to allow your mind to roam freely, unfettered by the constraints of conventional thought. Engaging in this practice doesn't require elaborate tools or extensive preparation. You can start small, perhaps during your daily routine. Next time you find yourself irritated by traffic, flip the phrase to, what if traffic is actually a time for reflection? A little humor goes a long way. Laughing at your old beliefs creates space for new understanding. Embrace this process as a mental superpower. Every time you invert an assumption, you're strengthening your cognitive flexibility, opening the door to new possibilities and challenges. Empower yourself. The next time you face a tough problem, just think, what if I approached this from the opposite angle? You might be amazed by what you discover. The latticework approach to thinking simplified. The latticework approach to thinking might sound a bit fancy or overly academic at first, but it's simply a way to connect ideas, much like how a spider weaves its web. Imagine a beautiful web where each thread is a different idea, skill, or piece of knowledge. Instead of viewing learning as a linear path, where you climb from one concept to the next, think of it as building a network of interconnected ideas that support each other. This is like constructing a mental playground where different swings, ideas, allow you to jump around, see things from multiple perspectives, and discover new solutions. The beauty of this approach lies in its counterintuitive nature. It encourages us not to just dig deeply into a single area, but to explore diverse fields and integrate them, unleashing creativity and innovation. To truly grasp the strength of your personal lattice work, roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty with some practical exercises. Start by reflecting on your interests, experiences, and knowledge. Jot down everything you think could contribute to your mental network. Everything from hobbies to subjects you studied in school, or even the movies you've watched. Now look for connections between these topics. Maybe your love for cooking could intersect with chemistry, or your passion for history can spark ideas for a book about modern-day parallels. The goal is to form a web of ideas where individual strands, your experiences and knowledge, intertwine to create a sturdy structure. As you visualize this network, you'll start to see patterns and insights that were previously hidden. This exercise not only builds your mental framework, but also empowers you to approach problems with a fresh perspective, equipping your mind with the tools to tackle challenges creatively. Incorporating this lattice work into your everyday thinking requires some practice, but the benefits are profound. Whenever you encounter challenges, remind yourself of your personal web of ideas. Ask how seemingly unrelated concepts can come together to form a solution. For instance, if you're grappling with a workplace problem, consider insights from nature, art, or even sports, fields that might not seem relevant at first glance. The real power lies in your ability to draw from this diverse pool of connections to enrich your reasoning and decision-making. So, the next time you're faced with a dilemma or a creative block, take a moment to envision your lattice work and let those interconnections guide you to unexpected solutions. Embrace this approach and watch as your thinking transforms into an intricate dance of ideas, effortlessly propelling you forward. Practice. Apply first principles in reverse to a life issue. Applying first principles thinking in reverse is a unique way to tackle challenges, providing a refreshing lens through which you can view your problems. It begins by deconstructing the issue into its most fundamental truths and then creatively reconstructing those elements to find solutions. Rather than starting with existing solutions or conventional wisdom, think about the core principles at play. This means examining the underlying assumptions that you or society might have about your issue. What if you flipped those assumptions on their head? Instead of trying to fit your problem into existing frameworks, strip away the layers of preconceptions. Start with the question, what is absolutely true about this situation? For example, if you're facing a career decision that everyone insists has to be made in a conventional way, take a step back. What do you really want? What skills do you have? What outcomes are most important to you? By peeling away the societal norms and focusing solely on your personal truths, you unlock a path that feels authentic and liberating. Reflecting on real-life applications reveals how powerful this method can be. Consider a young entrepreneur who wanted to open a restaurant. Instead of following the formula laid out by every culinary school and industry expert, developing a menu focused on culinary trends, hiring seasoned chefs, and investing in a lavish location, the entrepreneur asked fundamental questions. What does it mean to create a community around food? What are the essential ingredients that inspire people to gather? With these thoughts in mind, they decided to start a food truck, thus minimizing costs, exploring different neighborhoods, and connecting with customers directly. This pragmatic yet revolutionary approach led to a thriving business model that redefined success not just by profits, but by customer loyalty and community engagement. The freedom found in reversing first principles, thinking aloud for innovation that broke away from stale conventions. Applying this methodology invites an exhilarating exploration of your life's challenges. Next time you confront an issue, don't just think about what's been done before. Instead, ask yourself what's possible when you start from scratch. With your own objectives as the end goals, reconstruct the problem from its essential truths while relishing the chaos of creativity that may arise. This process doesn't just change your approach, it can redefine your entire mindset, turning what seems to be an insurmountable challenge into an exciting opportunity for growth and invention. Embrace the power of this unconventional thinking, because even the most entrenched issues can shift, innovate, and transform when seen through the lens of first principles thinking in reverse. Chapter 9, Backwards in Relationships, Unbuilding the Drama. How thinking in reverse helps you avoid conflict, ego battles, and resentment. When you invert your approach to conflict in relationships, it opens up a new world of possibilities that often seem counterintuitive. Instead of jumping into a debate with scripts running through your head like a well-rehearsed play, consider what your response might be if you viewed the situation in reverse. What if, instead of defending your ego, you leaned into understanding the other person's perspective? It's like walking a tightrope in the circus of relationships. Finding balance often requires you to step back, reassess, and even take a leap of faith into the unknown. When you approach interactions with a mindset of learning rather than winning, the dynamics shift. You're no longer battling it out over who's right or wrong, but instead creating an environment where both parties can share, explore, and grow. This can transform the dramatic crescendo of conflict into a harmonious dialogue. Patterns of communication often form invisible walls that lead to misunderstandings and resentment. When you start to identify these patterns, you can deconstruct them to improve not just communication, but the overall harmony in your relationships. Ask yourself, what are the common triggers that spark defensiveness in you? What reply do you habitually give, even when it's counterproductive? Recognizing these cycles allows you to break free from the default reactions that keep you stuck in a loop of irritation and frustration. Instead of following a negative interaction with another, you can choose to respond mindfully. A clever approach here is to lead with vulnerability. When you admit your own insecurities or misunderstandings, it gives the other person space to do the same. The walls you build will crumble as you embrace openness, and suddenly, the atmosphere can shift dramatically. One practical tip is to practice the reverse dialogue technique. The next time you sense a conflict brewing, or even if you're having a casual disagreement, try flipping the conversation in your mind before you speak. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person's perspective? What led them to feel this way? This not only shows respect, but invites a sense of collaboration. You'll find that when you take this curious approach, reactions become less about defense and more about discovery. This doesn't only diffuse tension, it promotes a profound sense of connection that nourishes healthy relationships over time. Relationship anti-patterns. Spotting the real cause by tracing backward. Identifying recurring issues in relationships can sometimes feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. The trick lies not just in recognizing symptoms, but in conducting a backward analysis to uncover the roots of the problems. Start by examining the moments when conflict arises, but instead of pointing fingers at the surface issues, like forgetting to take out the trash, ask yourself deeper questions. What patterns do you notice? Do you find that these conflicts echo previous relationships or even your childhood experiences? Understanding that many of our relationship dynamics are influenced by past experiences helps us discern the real cause of our frustrations. By mapping these backtrack moments, we outline a clearer picture of the issues at hand. Encouraging reflection on personal experiences is an empowering yet often uncomfortable journey. Imagine sitting with a trusted friend and dissecting the layers of your relationship experiences. What worked, what didn't, and why? Digging into your emotional archives might reveal unexpected threads connecting seemingly unrelated events. Maybe that conflict over finances isn't about money, but stems from childhood messages about worth and security. It's essential to challenge your existing beliefs about yourself and your partner, as these assumptions can skew your perception. This journey requires both bravery and curiosity. It's an opportunity to arm yourself with insights that can reshape engagements. Embrace the discomfort, as it often leads to transformative revelations, like pulling a pin from a grenade, potentially explosive, but ultimately liberating. Ultimately, you can start implementing these insights in your daily interactions. For instance, when you encounter a recurring issue with your partner, take a moment to pause and trace it back. Instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself why this particular situation triggers a strong response in you. This practice can shift your focus from blaming others to understanding yourself, enhancing empathy and communication in the process. When you find yourself spiraling into conflict, remind yourself that behaving like a detective in your own life can provide clarity, transforming misunderstandings into opportunities for growth. You'll start seeing relationship struggles as a puzzle, inviting you to put the pieces together rather than hide from them. Exercises: reverse arguing, silent assumptions, emotional timeline walkbacks. To dive deep into your emotional responses and uncover those hidden assumptions we all carry, let's start with a practical exercise known as reverse arguing. Picture this: you're in the heat of a debate, and your instincts tell you that you're right. Instead of reinforcing your stance, flip the script. Take a moment to argue the opposite perspective. What would a reasonable person say against your viewpoint? This not only challenges your beliefs, but also reveals the underlying fears and prejudices that shape your emotional responses. By practicing reverse arguing, you're not just flexing your critical thinking muscles, you're also paving the way for deeper self-awareness. Every time you find yourself entwined in a discussion, ask, "What if I'm wrong?" and let the chaos of doubt unravel into clarity. The next exercise emphasizes silent assumptions, those quiet scripts running in the background of our minds dictating how we interact with the world. To bring these assumptions to light, keep a journal for a week dedicated to your daily interactions. Every time you feel a strong emotion, be it anger, happiness, or disappointment, jot down what you assumed about the situation or the person involved. As you reflect, you might find that many of these assumptions sprouted from past experiences rather than present realities. This can lead to a revelation that your emotions often stem from your interpretations rather than the actual circumstances. Understanding this can drastically change how you perceive your relationships and the world around you. Finally, let's explore emotional timeline walkbacks. This exercise can feel a bit like detective work, but is ultimately empowering. When you experience an emotional reaction, trace it back to its origins. Ask yourself, when did I first feel this way? Or what event triggered this thought? You might wind up going back years or even decades, unearthing emotions linked to formative experiences that color your present. Mapping this emotional timeline not only creates connections between past and present, but also helps you detach from those reactions. You can learn to respond with intention rather than react without thought. Remember, dismantling these intricate layers reveals the true essence of who you are, a wonderful blend of experiences leading to profound growth. Embrace the process, have fun with it, and you might just discover new facets of your emotional self that transform how you engage with the world. Realization: most problems aren't what they first appear to be. When we dive into our relationships, the first impressions and knee-jerk reactions often dictate the narrative. Someone forgets to text back, and suddenly, we concoct wild stories about their lack of interest or affection. This immediate perception is like seeing only the tip of the iceberg. It's tempting to jump to conclusions, but there's much more lurking beneath the surface that we often ignore. What if that friend is swamped with work or battling personal issues? It's vital to challenge ourselves to reconsider our immediate thoughts. Instead of asking why someone isn't showing up the way we expect, we could ask what might be going on in their life that we're unaware of. This shift can free us from the prison of our assumptions and lead to deeper, healthier connections. After all, relationships are tangled webs of emotions, not just a series of actions based on our whims. Developing an understanding of conflict resolution means acknowledging that our perceptions color our interactions. Conflicts aren't just battles, they are opportunities to learn about ourselves and others. When disagreements arise, they often stem from miscommunications or unexpressed needs rather than genuine underlying malice. Instead of jumping into a defense mode, consider adopting an explorer's mindset. What if the other person's point of view holds valuable insights? Ask open-ended questions, listen actively, and resist the urge to prepare your rebuttal while they talk. This approach transforms a potential argument into a dialogue where both sides feel heard and validated. Embrace the discomfort of these conversations because, ironically, that's where growth happens. The more adept you become at navigating these waters, the more empowered you will feel, taking charge of your relationships rather than being tossed around by the tides of misunderstanding. To effectively engage in this transformative process, cultivate a habit of self-reflection. After a challenging interaction, take a moment to analyze your feelings and responses. What triggered your reaction? Were you projecting your insecurities onto the situation? Understanding your own emotional landscape can be the key to unlocking better communication with others. Consider keeping a journal or having a trusted confidant who can offer a fresh perspective. Armed with these insights, you'll find that you're not just reacting, you're responding with intention. This mental toolkit, brimming with awareness and curiosity, equips you to view relationship challenges as chances for connection and growth, rather than as insurmountable issues. Chapter 10: The Genius Habit. Make inversion your default mode. How to integrate reverse thinking into daily decisions. To incorporate reverse thinking into your everyday life, start by challenging your assumptions. Think about a routine decision you make daily, like what to eat for lunch or how to approach a project at work. Instead of just listing the pros and cons of your usual choices, ask yourself what would happen if you did the opposite. What if you ordered a dish you never would? What if you approached that project by neglecting the most common steps? This practice shakes off the usual mental cobwebs and compels you to consider more innovative paths. Make it a point to continually ask yourself, what's the most counterintuitive choice I could make here? You'll often find that these unexpected routes can lead you to powerful insights and solutions you hadn't previously considered. Embedding inversion as a habitual approach to decision-making takes practice, but can become second nature. Start small. Set a daily reminder to reflect on one decision each day by thinking inversely. By consistently applying this technique, you turn it into a mental exercise that sharpens your critical thinking. Over time, you'll find that your mind starts automatically flipping scenarios. When facing challenges, instead of looking for what could go right, consider what could go wrong, or, even more intriguingly, what is often ignored in the discussion. You'll be amazed at how frequently what is overlooked becomes the most viable solution. This playful yet profound shift builds resilience as you start viewing decisions from multiple angles. Incorporating reverse thinking can feel like flipping a switch in your mind, igniting creativity and revealing hidden paths. Empower yourself by practicing this regularly, and it won't be long before you notice not just better decisions, but also a newfound confidence in navigating the unpredictability of daily life. The next time you're faced with a decision, ask yourself, how can I turn this upside down? Let the world's complexities unravel as you embrace the art of reverse thinking. Morning practice. What could go wrong today? And why it helps. Establishing a morning reflection practice is like strapping on a pair of mental jetpacks. Instead of leaping straight into your day, you take a moment to hover above it, scanning the landscape of potential challenges. This isn't just pessimism dressed up in fancy thoughts. It's a proactive strategy that invites clarity into your life. Imagine waking up and asking yourself, what could possibly go wrong today? It may sound counterintuitive, but uncovering potential pitfalls right at the start allows you to tackle them with strategy rather than surprise. This short mental exercise enables you to anticipate your day's obstacles, whether they are mundane like a traffic jam or weighty like a confrontation at work. By considering these possibilities up front, you adopt a mindset prepared for anything, which can alter your reactions and decisions when faced with unexpected events. The daily benefits of this practice extend beyond simply avoiding disasters. When you articulate potential challenges, you cultivate a sense of control and confidence, rather than chaos and anxiety. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that sharpen your focus. Anticipating difficulties sharpens your decision-making muscles and equips you to problem-solve better as they arise. Rather than being caught off guard, you might find yourself chuckling at a challenge that would have sent you into a tailspin. You become a strategist in your own life, turning the tables on unpredictability. This newfound foresight empowers you. You step into your day not just as a participant, but as a leader of your own narrative, transforming obstacles into stepping stones. This reflection practice isn't just an abstract exercise. It's a tangible tool you can use right now. Each morning, carve out just 5 minutes to identify your potential challenges and jot them down. It could be as simple as meeting with my boss or handling an awkward social situation. As you outline your day with all its quirks and hurdles, you'll find that your mind is not racing with anxiety, but rather revving with strategies. This simple act of naming hurdles prepares you to conquer them, making your day not just bearable, but a canvas for your resilience. Harnessing this empowering practice can turn every morning into a launching pad, propelling you toward productivity, positivity, and triumph. Becoming the outlier. How backward thinkers get ahead. Successful backward thinkers often possess an array of traits that allow them to see the world from unique angles. These individuals are not bound by conventional wisdom. Instead, they revel in questioning the status quo. They are curious, unafraid to challenge common beliefs, and possess a strong sense of imagination that allows them to visualize possibilities others miss. by embracing their quirks, no matter how odd or counterintuitive. These thinkers unveil insights that often seem hidden in plain sight. This willingness to diverge from the well-trodden path often enables them to innovate and generate solutions to problems that frustrate traditional thinkers. The ability to think backward transcends mere creativity. It represents a fundamental shift in how problems are approached and solved, encouraging a culture of exploration and experimentation that is crucial in today's fast-paced world. In a culture that often prizes conformity and the right way of thinking, it can be a challenge to embrace the quirks that make one unique. However, those differences can actually be your greatest asset. When you allow your mind to think differently, you tap into a reservoir of raw potential that can lead to extraordinary achievements. Backward thinkers not only accept their distinct identities, but they celebrate them as a strength that fosters innovation. It's essential to recognize that originality is rooted in the very essence of your differences, so rather than suppressing them, lean into your offbeat thought processes. This isn't just permission to be yourself. It's a call to action to wield your idiosyncrasies like a superhero might wield their powers, not as a burden, but as tools for uncovering new solutions. Embracing the nuances of your perspective in a world that often pushes for a singular vision can set you apart and propel you toward uncharted territories of thought and creation. Every time you feel the urge to conform or second-guess a unique idea, remind yourself that the most groundbreaking breakthroughs often arise from ideas that seemed ludicrous at first. Experimenting with different thought patterns can unlock ideas that could transform your work and potentially influence those around you. In engaging with your peculiar thoughts and allowing curiosity to guide you, you develop a mindset that not only challenges assumptions, but also opens avenues for collaboration and exploration. Never underestimate the beauty of being an outlier. After all, the sky is not the limit for those who dream differently. Final challenge: rewire a lifelong belief through inversion. Consider a long-held belief that has shaped you, one you might hold dear but could also be entirely flawed. This is not just a passing thought. It's essential to deeply explore this from every angle. Take a moment to dig in. What do you truly believe about success, happiness, or relationships? Now, let's apply a little mental jujitsu known as inversion. Instead of just defending this belief, turn it upside down. Ask yourself, what if the opposite were true? If you believe that success requires relentless hard work, can you find evidence of success achieved with ease or joy? This method isn't about destroying your belief, it's about expanding your understanding. By poking holes in these accepted notions, you create a space for new perspectives. It's like letting air into a stuffy room, allowing fresh ideas to circulate and flourish. Embracing this challenge can transform your mindset. It forces you to question the narratives you've accepted without thought, leading to personal revelations that can be exhilarating and enlightening. As you unravel these deeply rooted beliefs, you might find humor in the rigidity of your old thoughts, and this laughter is crucial. When you make space for new ideas, you empower yourself to reshape your identity and your future. You'll likely encounter cognitive dissonance, but that's where growth happens. Inverting your beliefs can feel a bit rebellious, but it also opens the door to creativity and possibility. Think of it as giving your mind a workout. With practice, those counterintuitive insights will become your mental superpowers, equipping you for challenges and sparking innovative thinking in areas you never thought possible. The next time you're confronted with a belief, remember, inversion isn't just a tactic, it's your pathway to freedom and empowerment. To effectively rewire a belief, keep a journal where you routinely practice this inversion technique. Write down your beliefs on one side of the page and their opposites on the other. This simple exercise not only makes the process tangible, but also allows you to observe patterns in your thoughts. Over time, you'll develop a habit of questioning assumptions, ultimately leading to personal growth and a broader perspective on life. Conclusion: the world is built for linear thinkers. Outsmart it. Why backward thinkers become leaders, creators, and outliers. Backward thinkers possess a unique set of traits that set them apart from the predominantly linear-minded individuals. They approach problems not from a straight path, but by considering angles that others might overlook. This ability to think in reverse allows them to connect dots in ways that seem unconventional or even outlandish at first glance. They embrace uncertainty and often prefer to question the status quo rather than accept it blindly. Their propensity for curiosity drives them to explore possibilities that are often dismissed as impractical. In a world obsessed with efficiency and quick solutions, these thinkers take their time to dive deep into the complexity of ideas, unraveling new perspectives and exciting innovations. The impact of unconventional thinking in today's world can't be overstated. At a time when rapid changes disrupt traditional industries and technologies evolve at an astonishing pace, those who dare to think differently have the potential to reshape reality. Backward thinkers often become the catalysts for transformation, leading movements that challenge established norms. Their unique insights and fresh take on problems encourage creativity in teams and organizations, inspiring others to break out of their rigid patterns of thinking. This originality is critical in sparking conversations around important issues, fostering collaboration, and igniting enthusiasm. The world needs leaders whose thought processes go beyond the ordinary, as they bring forth solutions that resonate on deeper levels and create lasting change. To tap into backward thinking, consider reframing the questions you ask about problems and projects. Instead of "how can we fix this?" ask "what happens if we do nothing?" or "what if we approach this from the opposite direction?" Embracing these thought patterns empowers you to harness a new way of thinking that can unlock pathways to innovation and impactful leadership. The secret: they don't solve the problem, they dissolve it. Consider the world through a new lens. What if the goal isn't merely to solve problems, but to dissolve them? This revolutionary approach challenges conventional wisdom that often prescribes a mere fix for apparent issues. In a society where challenges are seen as hurdles to jump over or walls to break down, the idea of dissolving problems may sound counterintuitive. Yet, when you think of problems as fixed entities needing resolution, you trap yourself in a reactive mindset. What if, instead, you perceive these challenges as transient experiences that could be melted away like sugar in hot water? This isn't about ignoring difficulties. It's about recognizing that the very essence of the problem can change when you shift your perspective. Look at how great innovators and thought leaders tackle obstacles. They don't just patch things up. They reframe the situation entirely, often coming at the issue from an angle that many don't even consider. They observe, adapt, and transform the problem into something less of a problem and more of an opportunity waiting to be unveiled. Dissolving problems rather than solving them requires an embrace of adaptability and creativity in both your professional and personal environments. Imagine entering a meeting filled with tension, where everyone is fixated on the stumbling blocks of a project. Instead of diving into a discussion about how to fix what's wrong, what if you prompted a conversation about the underlying assumptions causing that tension? This shift can diffuse anxiety and open doors to solutions that naturally arise when people collaborate without the pressure of fixing something. In personal settings, this can manifest in relationships. Instead of always trying to solve conflicts through discussions fraught with blame, consider what would happen if you approached the issue from a place of understanding and empathy. By focusing on the emotional undercurrents instead of the surface disagreements, you dissolve tension and foster connection. Shifting mindset is the first step toward believing in the power of dissolution as a liberating practice. This transformative outlook isn't just theoretical. It's a practical tool you can interact with daily. Whenever you encounter an issue, practice asking yourself, "What am I holding on to that I could let go of?" Identify the assumptions that may be keeping you tethered to a problem. Instead of being a problem solver fixated on the details, become a problem dissolver who examines the broader context. This not only lightens your load, but can empower those around you to do the same. When you adopt this mindset, you begin to notice that the things you once struggled with lose their power over you. Empowered thinking equips you to dance gracefully through life's inevitable chaos, transforming what seemed insurmountable into vapor. Think of it as cultivating a mental superpower that allows you to rise above challenges, demonstrating that sometimes the best way to deal with problems is not to confront them head-on, but to dissolve their very existence. You are now equipped to think differently, and that changes everything. By now, you've gathered an arsenal of tools and strategies that can transform the way you perceive challenges and opportunities. Each technique you've learned, whether it's the art of inversion or reframing your thoughts, is like a mental superpower waiting to be unleashed. These strategies aren't merely concepts to be written down and forgotten. They're invitations to revolutionize your thinking. Imagine looking at your problem set not as a series of hurdles, but as a playground of possibilities where you actively engage in creative problem solving. That's the energy we can cultivate when we embrace these methods fully. The true magic happens when you start practicing inversion in various facets of your everyday life. This means not just waiting for a crisis to apply your newfound skills, but making them a habitual part of your decision-making process. Every time you encounter a challenge, be it in your personal relationships, career, or even in the mundane aspects of daily tasks, ask yourself how you could approach the situation from the opposite angle. What if, instead of trying to fix a problem, you considered amplifying it? Often, you'll discover insights that lead to innovative solutions you'd never have entertained otherwise. Remember, the goal is to create a continual dialogue with your thoughts, challenging the assumptions that have long governed your actions. With practice, the mental frameworks you've been building become second nature. The best tip: keep a journal, not to chronicle daily events, but to note down moments of inversion and creativity when you applied these tools. Reflecting on these experiences will reinforce your learning and help maintain your momentum as you shift how you think. Embracing this playful experimentation will ultimately change everything. Now, go challenge your limits. Most people run forward, chasing solutions, chasing success, chasing clarity. You're different now. You've learned that the smartest path isn't always straight ahead, it's inside out. That genius isn't about having better answers, but asking sharper questions in reverse. That problems don't need solving, they need dissolving. So next time you feel stuck, ask yourself, what don't I want? What if I'm wrong? What if the way out is backwards? You now have the tools. Use them. Break the pattern. Invert the world. And always remember, the world is built for linear thinkers. Outsmart it.